guys, how's it going? It's Christión here, back for my first video on this channel. And today what I want to talk about with you guys is the NBA upcoming season and how I think it's going to turn out, which teams are going to make the playoffs, maybe some new teams that didn't make it last year, and some teams that are going to be making it again that haven't made it in a while. So I have the computer here in front of me because I didn't want to leave out any teams that I think are going to make the playoffs, because while I'm spouting it off, I have an idea of who's going to be there and who's not. But, I end up forgetting some of the teams' names. So we'll start with the Eastern Conference. In last year's standings, I'm looking at right here, I have Milwaukee at the top. I think that Milwaukee will still be at the top of the Eastern Conference. They'll probably be around the 2 seed though. I think Philly could surpass them this year for that 1st seed, obviously with the addition of Al Horford. But they did lose one of their best playoff players in Jimmy Butler, so we'll see how that turns out come playoff time. But I definitely think that they'll be there. So our top 2 teams that I'm talking about in the East right now are Philly and Milwaukee. After those teams, I'm going to say that for sure the Indiana Pacers will make a return to the playoffs. I think once Oladipo returns to the lineup especially, that they'll be in a good flow, and that team has chemistry already, so you can expect to see them there. That's 3 teams right there. Next up, you're going to see I think for sure that Brooklyn will get there. They were there last year with D'Lo, and now they have Kyrie, and of course KD sitting out for the season. So once he comes back, not next season, but the season after, they're going to be even more of a legitimate threat. But with Kyrie, they should certainly make the playoffs in a weaker Eastern Conference as opposed to the West. So we have them. Who else? Let's see. So we got those 4 teams. I think we'll see Boston making a return. They won't be quite as good as they were talent-wise, but maybe this team will flow a little better with a guy like Kemba Walker, and then they have, but they lost Al Horford, so Tatum will get a chance to shine more though, so that should be good for his development. And Kemba Walker just seems like he's better for fitting into a coaching system as opposed to Kyrie Irving, who's more of an isolation player. But so yeah, we have those 5 teams. Miami should be there too with Jimmy Butler. They're always right on the border of the playoffs, but with a guy like Jimmy Butler, he'll take them over the edge. We've seen it before. He helped get that Timberwolves team to a playoff spot they never had for a while, back a couple of years ago. And last year, of course, with Philadelphia, it was fantastic. So we can expect to see them there. Those last 2 spots in the Eastern Conference are tough. I'm going to go Atlanta. They have Trae Young. They were fighting at the end of the season last year, and I think that Trae's going to continue to develop. They have the rookies, what they get? They have Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, and they should be making a serious playoff push. I could see them at that 7-8 seed, and then probably Detroit in there as well. Detroit might beat out Atlanta, get that 7 seed, so I could see that. And then you have Orlando, I think, just missing out on the playoffs, as well as Chicago. No, I'm a Knicks fan, so of course I'd love to see my team make the playoffs, but realistically speaking, that's just not going to happen this season. I'd love to see it happen. But yeah, so missing out on the playoffs, I would have Chicago, Washington, Orlando, New York, and then of course Charlotte. Charlotte will probably be the worst team in the entire NBA next season. Okay, Western Conference. This side, let's see. So the West they already have a lot of pieces set. The guys that made it last year, there's a good chance they're going to make it again this year. One team that I definitely see falling out from those 8 are the Oklahoma City Thunder. They lost Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and while they do have Chris Paul, he's aging and he's kind of out of his prime at this point, so I don't think they'll be seriously striving for that playoff position, and he might even end up on a different team halfway through the season or before the season even starts. We'll see. But last year it was Golden State, Denver, Portland, Houston, Utah, OKC, San Antonio, and the LA Clippers. So we'll start out at the top. I think that the first seed is going to end up going to the Denver Nuggets this year. They were second seed last year, and these young guys, they keep getting better. Nikola Jokic was an MVP consideration last year. I think this year, with the dynamic duos that we switched to as opposed to the super teams, I think that Jokic has a very good shot at winning that MVP this year. He's actually, along with Curry, my top 2 picks for getting that MVP this year. So we'll have Denver at number 1. Number 2, I'm going to say, is going to be the Houston Rockets. They've been around this spot for a while now, and they just made what I think is an upgrade from CP3 to Russell Westbrook. I don't think it's going to make too big of a difference in the grand scheme of things, especially with 2 teams that I'm going to talk about in a moment playing in that same conference. I don't see the Rockets making it out of there, but I'd love to see Russell Westbrook succeed. I'm a big fan of his. I want to see him have some playoff success because he's been out in the first round for the last couple of years. So Denver number 1, Houston number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go with I'm going to say number 3 goes to Portland again. I think Damian Lillard has also continued to get better and better, hit a huge shot in the playoffs. He made it to the Western Conference Finals. He ended up getting swept, but I think that he's ready to have an MVP breakout type of season as well. I know he's finished in top 5, top 4 before, but I think this season. Now, number 4 is one of the 2 teams that I was talking about before. Why I don't think the Rockets will advance that far is the Los Angeles Clippers. You know, they're a team that took Golden State 6 games last year without a real star on their team. Of course, they had Lou Williams, who's a borderline all-star, 6th man of the year forever, perennial 6th man of the year. And they added onto that the finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard, who's been fantastic, top 2 talent in the world, top 3. Some people argue he's the best in the world right now. And then you have Paul George as well, who just came off of a 3rd place finish in the MVP race from last year. That's an insane team. That's an insane defensive team. And with Doc Rivers there, I think they're going to definitely make some noise. I expect to see them in the Western Conference Finals. But I have them at number 4 because I do think that there's going to be nights where the bigger superstars are going to be sitting out, you know, for load management. That's been become more frequent over the last few years. So I have them at number 4. but I definitely see them making a deep playoff run, and 4 is not reflective of what type of team they are. They are definitely a 1 or 2 type of team. Number 5, same thing. I have the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, let's see. It's going to be between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Utah Jazz, I think, for that 5th space, because LA Lakers, the same thing with the Clippers. Their stars are going to be taking nights off and they're going to be resting, so they're going to lose some games. And in that Western Conference, that can make or break you in your seeding. Regardless of that, I expect the Lakers to make a deep playoff run too, and I think the odds-on favorite is to have the Clippers and the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. But I just thought about that, right? If they're 4 and 5, they'd end up going against each other in the first round. So maybe I'll say that Utah makes it to 5 and the Lakers at 6. Now Utah is another team. They've been good for a while, but they're just competing against Golden State and Houston, and you know, there's other teams that are better than them. I think it's going to be the same situation this year. Although they did add Mike Conley, who's always been a borderline all-star type of player throughout his years in the league, with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. They're already excellent defensively. So I think there'll be an excellent first-round matchup, but with the way that I have it, the Clippers being at 4, they would definitely handle the Jazz, I think. And Los Angeles at 6, they would make a deep run. Western Conference Finals at least. Then we get to number 7 and number 8. Number 7 probably be Golden State Warriors. You can't count out the Warriors. They're going to have a slow start to the year because they don't have Klay Thompson. And D'Angelo Russell, I don't think will fit in immediately with Steph Curry. There's going to be some struggles there, but Steph will be doing his thing, and Draymond Green, of course, is always the anchor for their team. Once Klay comes back, I think they'll win enough games to make the playoffs, though, and you can't count out the Warriors at all. It's going to be a lot of fun. That 8th spot is the toughest spot to decide, right? Because you have a team like Sacramento last year, who finished at number 9, and they were right there all year, and they could have made the playoffs, but they didn't, and that's tough. But I don't think it's going to be Sacramento, because I think Sacramento is going to fall a little bit back. And it's not because they've gotten worse, it's because other teams have gotten better. This 8th spot that I'm talking about a battle, a battle in Texas, between San Antonio and Dallas. Now the save money is San Antonio, because San Antonio always makes it. It's Greg Popovich. You know, they just added Tim Duncan as an assistant coach there as well. You have DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, 2 very experienced players. DeJounte Murray will be coming back, a young up-and-coming star. It's going to be a battle, but then you have Luka, who had a phenomenal rookie season. My boy Kristaps from New York got traded to Dallas. He's coming back. He has something to prove. Kristaps and Luka, that's who I'm going to say Dallas makes it. I'm going to say Dallas makes it because I believe in those guys to take that next step and catapult their team into the playoff picture. But I will not be surprised at all if San Antonio misses or makes the playoffs because of how good they are and how long they've been making the playoffs. With that being said, there's some notable teams that have missed it at that point. So either Dallas or San Antonio will be missing from the playoff picture. I said earlier OKC had fallen out. New Orleans, as entertaining as I think that they're going to be to watch, with Zion Williamson and Lonzo Ball, those lobs are going to be insane. You have a young talent like Jackson Hayes and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of young stars in the making. But I don't think this year is their year. Phoenix won't be making it. I think that kind of goes without being said, right? They don't really make any major moves, and it's been proven in the last couple seasons. D-Book can't do it all by himself. And Ayton was good, but with that Western Conference, no, it's not going to happen. And then Minnesota, I'm just not a believer in Minnesota. You know, until they can get rid of Wiggins, I think, and put somebody better next to Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think they'll be making any type of noise in the Western Conference. With that being said, Karl Anthony Towns will probably make the All-Star team again. He's going to keep on being one of the best big men in the league because he's that good. But I don't think Wiggins is the ideal partner to have with Cat there. But anyway, so that is my prediction for how the NBA playoff picture will end up turning out next year. So once again, I have in the Eastern Conference, I have Philly, Milwaukee, Indiana, Brooklyn, Boston, Miami, Atlanta, and Detroit. And then in the Western Conference, I have Denver, Houston, Portland, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Utah Jazz,